Hello everyone, and welcome to the start of a new series, in which I make builds at workshops. And these are physical workshop builds, as opposed to character builds, which a lot of you longer time fans will know me for. So, once you've watched this video, do let me know in the comments how you liked it and all of that stuff, what can be improved, so on and so forth, to let me know, as it is the start of a new series, and that's the best time to give me your feedback. Speaking of which, this is going to be dubbed commentary, but probably just for this episode. In future episodes, I'd like to do a bit of live commentary so you get all of the fun of me ranting and trying desperately not to swear when the build starts messing up, because I think that's just a lot more entertaining to watch. This time though, I did the recording of me building 90% of the build. I apologise I missed the beginning of the build, but I recorded this, and I figure I'll just go over my thoughts, why I built things the way I did, some of the problems and issues I had, and the ways I overcame them. So I decided to start off at Spruce Knob, because it's got a funny name, I'll be honest, that was the reason, that was the entire reasoning. It's got the word knob in it, and it made me giggle, as you can tell, because apparently I'm like 10 years old or something stupid. Yeah, I decided to start off there, and I did a Brotherhood outpost build. This place has Brotherhood flags flying up. It's obviously already been a Brotherhood outpost at some point, so I figured I'd just build on that and basically make it active again. Figured that'd be pretty cool. And starting off, I decided I wanted a barracks, where everyone can sleep, do the crafting, all of that good stuff. At the beginning, I just made a very simple one-story house, just crafting tables, sweet. I then worked out, oh wait, I'm going to want the beds all on one end and then the crafting tables on the other end, so I decided to split it half and half. That way I had a two-part house with a dividing wall, crafting tables all at the end, looking quite nice, and at the front, the barracks with the beds, and I made sure to put a footlocker and a standard locker next to all of them, gives it more of a military feel. Speaking of which, I also went all metal, because it just looks more appropriate with the Brotherhood than brick or woodwood, and I also actually looked at screenshots of previous games. I think it was mostly New Vegas I used the bunker in there to work out what lighting to go for. And I ended up with these industrial wall lights, which work very, very well for the whole Brotherhood look. They give a good amount of light, while still making things feel thematic. Like, you don't want a fancy disco ball lamp in your Brotherhood barracks, because then it kind of gets rid of the Brotherhood feel and just goes, oh, party time! Which is fair enough, but completely different. Now, once I'd actually done that, I realised I wanted fortifications on the top, because it is a Brotherhood outpost that I was trying to make here. It needs to be defendable. So I figured, okay, we'll make it so the top layer, people can just run up from the barracks, go up there and defend it all. I've started off by putting a siren outside actually, just because it's fitting. You have someone run out, turn on the siren, just like, oh no, there's a Scorch Beast attack, which does happen. This place does get attacked by Scorch Beasts, so you do want it to be defendable. That's a definite thing you want. So you just can flick the siren on, let everyone there know, oh dear, there's an attack. That's all good. Now the problem was, I had a ton of issues whilst trying to build up this place to have a second story, because I was using the stairs and I basically needed a story and a half in the way I'd originally built it to just make it go up to the roof, but you can't really do that because the different types of stairs don't clip to each other. So instead I had to go with two of the basic metal railing stairs and then extend the overall build height to essentially just make it 2 stories, and the second story was just the roof. That took a lot of tweaking about and was a right problem. Like, that was about half an hour just doing that one individual thing. And then after that I had to mess around with all the walls, make it as if the roofs and everything lined up. It was quite the taxing project, but if I'd known that I'd wanted that at the start, then I could have just gone, okay, 2 stories right at the beginning, we'll get that all sorted. It also gave the barracks a much more unique look, because originally it looked very just standard and basic, but then it ended up with a short walkway where you can either go up the stairs or go around them back into the actual quarters themselves, which reminded me a bit of the Pridwin. It gave me quite a nice reminiscent feeling of that, so I was happy with how it ended up overall. Plus, it just looks fitting, I find. Now, obviously this is a workshop, and the main reason people would normally take workshops is for resource extractors, so I went and grabbed those. I've put down gold, copper and acid, but I'm not sure if that's actually the resource extractors that were there. I did make sure to power them all up and do all of that, because it just seemed like the right thing. However, I didn't actually take the supplies out of any of them. I had a lot of people show up whilst I was building the base, and they were taking the supplies because I wasn't worried about locking them, simply because I didn't take this workshop for very long. I basically did the build, and then I had to go and live stream. But there are resource extractors here that you will want powered up. They all are quite far apart from each other though, which meant there was a bit of a problem with connecting all the power. I started off with a fusion core generator over by the barracks. I tried putting it inside, but there's always a problem with getting power from the outside to the inside. You can connect it to walls and it will light up things on the walls, but it won't go straight through the wall. It's a bit weird on how it works. So I decided to do the simple thing and just move the power generator outside. From there you can connect it to the building itself, and then it just powers the building, providing you put connectors all the way around. After that I used a lot of the large metal pylons to get power going between different places. I also made sure to use the small little metal connectors, not only on the building, but also attached to trees, because it makes them a lot less out there and clunky and just covering up the place, and also feels right, the Brotherhood using the terrain they've already got to their advantage. Speaking of which, Spruce Knob has really two different height levels that are quite drastic, because it's built on a mountain that has different areas to it all, and I built the barracks on the lower bit, down by kind of the car park section. That then meant I needed to build the power to go up the mountain, which meant a trio of large power connectors powering up from the ground floor all the way up to the top so everything could get powered from the same device. This ultimately worked out quite well, but it can be a bit of a pain just getting the connectors all at the right angles, getting them on the edges of the mountains and trying to jump up and get to the places you need. You can do it slowly by just dropping down from the top of the mountain and just going down edge by edge, but I had the marsupial perk, which is very helpful when doing this, because you can just connect the power to one, then jump up like half the cliff in one go, and build another power pylon. Very helpful to have. After I'd started getting the power all sorted out, I realised the other resource I needed was water, so I went around the back, where there's a whole ton of space but I had no real purpose for it, and figured, okay, I've got this little cliff edge here, let's just build the water there, that's perfect, it's out of the way. But then I thought, okay, this is a Brotherhood build, that cliff edge is somewhere you want to defend, artillery, why not? I didn't do quite as much thinking with this half, I must admit, as I did with the barracks and some other bits, but I just liked the thought of, okay, this is a point where you've got a clear view over miles and miles, you set up the artillery here, you can fire down at them, that seems alright. So I tried to get that nice little feel to it as I was going along. And speaking of which, defences in general, I wasn't too sure what to do. The one thing I really knew I wanted was lots of little barricades, the ones that you'll already have seen on top of the barracks. I decided to put some of them down by the front, and I was going with a general feeling of multiple layers of defence. So you can have people standing at a barricade, then they can push back to another section, and then back to another section. This area already has a bunch of barricades that actually have Brotherhood branding. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much Brotherhood-themed stuff you can just get in the game, so I was just having to go with basic military ones, but they still fit purpose, and just added that nice little more fortified flavour to it. Let people know that this was a defended location. Now, obviously barricades themselves don't actually do much, so I figured heavy laser turrets. That makes the most sense for the Brotherhood. They're tech heavy, they use a lot of laser weapons, let's get the good laser weapons. Now, from Spruce Knob there is a little kind of path section that leads to another large building. You can only go up to half of the path in the actual build area, but I figured I'd use that as the kind of main defensible point. It's over the road and it's got a clear view of the skies, so I ended up putting a total of 4 laser turrets up there, along with 2 lights, because the lights just shine a bit more. You want to have good lighting in your workshop, because you will end up building during the night time. I did for a lot of the time. And those laser turrets had pretty great coverage from that section. Problem is, they will get attacked, and I had a Scorch Beast attack where they went down a couple of times, I think, as I was fighting them off. It was a trio of like level 80 Scorch Beasts though, so it was understandable that I weren't able to cut the scratch there, but I don't think that's a phrase. Regardless, we're sticking with it. And that was my overall defence done. After that, it was just final little bits and pieces to add to the theme of it all, because Brotherhood areas tend to be quite cramped and have a military feel to them, so I figured, what can I do with this? More than anything, I just went for a lot of industrial looking stashes, so more footlockers, more of just the metal tubs where you can store things in, a few just random bits and bobs scattered about the whole place, just to make the area feel more busy and a bit more lived in. And on top of that, I went with a lot of lighting, especially around the actual Spruce Knob bit that's built up, because the area at the top of a little outpost is already pretty Brotherhood themed. It feels like it's a large just section where you can look around all areas, it's all good, that area is pretty much perfect. Figured the only thing I could do to it was add functioning lights that survey the whole area around you. And that was all I had to do. In total, it was slightly over 2 hours build time, I believe, and then I did the cinematics and stuff as well, and I think it worked out pretty well. I did have a fair few hiccups as I was trying to build, both through player interference and just the game being a bit of a pain. Best tips I can give really is just to regularly, if you start getting problems, exit out of build mode, enter back in. About 9 times out of 10 that fixes any problem you're having. Other than that though, I think it went fairly well and I was happy with how everything looked. Also, a shout out and thank you to Kato Genesis, who popped over and not only helped with the Final Defend event, but also was very helpful in getting some of the cinematic shots with me. Something which I'll probably be going on my Discord for next time I make one of these and being like, hey, anyone want to dress up as this faction and just wander about and do things? So a lot of the fancy shots you're seeing here are also thanks to him. Anyway, as I said before, feel free to give me feedback, because this is going to be a bit of a strange workshop build, but I was very happy with how the build went, so I didn't want to waste the footage and waste the video potential. In future videos, I'm almost certainly going to do live commentary, and then I'll do kind of a tour of the place afterwards, with some cinematic shots thrown in as well, obviously. But for this one, it was sadly just all dubbed commentary, hence it's probably not quite as relevant to the footage, and you don't have any of the great moments of me shooting at a floor and losing my rag, which is what people really seem to enjoy most of all from my earlier build videos. Anyway, feel free to leave comments, if you enjoyed the video leave a like, and subscribe for more Fallout 76 content, because I make multiple videos on this game every single week, so that's it. As always, thank you very much for watching. Sarge out.